Okay, I think the framing of this is very symbolic because the more I've been researching human design, the less I seem to know about it, and the less less I understand it. So maybe the sun here will help me illuminate and be able to communicate kind of the next piece I'm going to do when you're looking up your human design body graph. So this is going to dive deeper into the tables that are cut to the left or the right of the body graph and what you're going to see. So what you're going to see is kind of like going from the earth, the sun, actually sun, earth, and then all of the other alignments down below is going to be each of those 13 pieces. And then you're going to see a gate, which is the number, followed by a decimal point, followed by a line. That is your like the line type of the 6 lines of a hexagram going into the I Ching, which I touched on in an introduction earlier. And you're going to see kind of, so on the body graph, those two charts, the left side is your mind and your conscious, and or your right is the mind and the conscious, and the left is the body and unconscious. I keep saying that backwards. I even wrote it backwards. But you'll see that, and you'll know which one's the body. Body is design. Otherwise, it's probably going to say conscious versus mind, depending on which free human design that you look up. But as you're going through that list, from top to bottom and all these symbols, so it's a lot to digest. People who follow astrology probably understand it a heck of a lot better than I do. I'm not that big in astrology, which is probably why I'm having a hard time with this. So the first line will be the sun, second is the earth, 3 is moon, 4 is south node. So it's going to be like a thing with two little, I don't know what you call it, an in with 2 kind of circles at the bottom is south node. U with the 2 circles on top would be the north node. That's the best way I could describe it. Then Mercury, then Venus, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn, then Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And I'll have an overlay graphic on here, so that way you can see that as well. And to kind of break down the south and north nodes, these are kind of lunar aspects, or lunar nodes, for lack of a better term. The south node is seeing where you came from. The north node is where you're going. And so in your human design, those nodes are going to be pointed to specific gates. And when I've read through that, that's kind of where your starting point is to kind of learn those, because that's going to see where you came from, where you're going. And those gates may not be in an energy center. It may be, like for mine, it's the spleen, and then it's the ajna. So it varies depending on that, but it all depends on where the hexagram is at, based on the circle is all of your astrology stuff, and then where those gates and what constellation, what planet it's in, yada, 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 is going to help determine the astrology impact of that as it relates to the I Ching. So that's kind of the easiest way I can break down what you're looking at there. And when you think of your north node and where you're going, think of it kind of like your moral compass, your true compass, what's most aligned with your true authentic self. And this is kind of a beginning point to see how all the hexagrams and gates interact together with astrology and I Ching, because it's a bunch of philosophical systems kind of wrapped into one. So that's where it gets really, really heady. But I wanted to give kind of this introduction of how to read those charts, because when you first see it, it is overwhelming, and it was overwhelming for me. So this was my first stab at trying to break this down in a much simpler process. But if you have any experiences on the astrology side to help break that down better, that can help people understand it, including myself, please feel free to leave a comment on that. And that's kind of the beginning of breaking down what you're seeing in the charts that show up with your body graph in human design.